All right, the Chargers just made a smart move. It's a smart move. I can't say this enough. It is a professional organization now making professional moves that look good. Okay, they look good. Hey, if you're new to this channel, my name is Craig. Me and my buddy Chris started this channel about a year back, and then I took like a 6-month break, was busy with family. This isn't our first channel. We have another couple, actually. We have Sports Talk Detroit. We are Detroit Lions fans, but we grew up, always loved the Lions get done after the 1 o'clock game, and then I always remember hoping that I could watch the Chargers game. Right, I want to watch the Chargers game. I want to watch Junior Seau. I want to watch and see what's going on there. Hey, Harbaugh even played for you, right? And we're from Michigan, so it only made sense when Harbaugh went to LA that we were going to follow him there with a channel. It's been a lot of fun. Tell your friends about this. We have another channel, Sports Talk Extra, where we cover a bunch of other teams that, quite frankly, are kind of ignored by the national media. So maybe we could put this team on there. It doesn't seem to have that same draw from the national media for some reason as the Rams, even though I'm convinced the Chargers are going to be the better organization going forward. So anyways, with all that being said, let's talk about the signing that you just had. The Chargers signed edge Bud Dupree to a 1-year, $6 million extension. I want to be clear on this. This is 1 year up to $6 million. We don't have all the details. I'd be very interested to see what kind of numbers this creates and if this is actually cap friendly for the Chargers rather than having to pay some dead money on the back end or whatever it looks like. You just move it into that next year where the Chargers have a ton of cap room in 2026. So they sign this one into 2026. They signed Bud Dupree. I want to talk about why I think this is smart. First, let's talk about who Bud Dupree is as a player. And you let me know, did you enjoy it? Bud Dupree last year had 6 tackles for loss. He had 6 sacks. He had a pick. He had 2 pass breakups and a forced fumble, all while having 28 total tackles. And he did this very inefficiently compared to what he usually does. He missed a lot of opportunities. It wouldn't have been shocking for him to actually get 10 sacks if he completed it. And for him to do that while being a rotational edge rusher that played behind Khalil Mack, that played behind the oft-injured Joey Bosa, that played behind Tuli Tuipulotu, like, this is somebody who you have to make the argument, like, this is a valuable person. And it's very clear from Harbaugh's days with the Niners and then his days with Michigan and now his days with the Chargers, one of the things that's important to him, one of the things that is important to any Jesse Minter, right, any D coordinator under him, is to be able to have tackles and edge rushers that you can rotate through. You want to be able to rotate through them because you want to be able to keep them fresh. I think there's an argument that a mediocre edge rusher is more effective than a good edge rusher when that mediocre edge rusher is at full strength, full capacity, and the good edge rusher is tired. Like, there's absolutely something to be said for that. So, yes, I think Bud Dupree is coming off of what arguably is not one of his better years, but let's just take a look at it, and it is true. He's never been a guy that has been a PFF darling. He just hasn't been. But he's a guy that played enough snaps, and he flashed and honestly didn't do terribly bad. It wasn't terrible. The grades aren't good, but the stats are. This is one of those, like, eye test versus analytics. And what you've seen with Bud Dupree is over the last 5 years, he's just stuck in the league. He's got enough size to set the edge. If he needs to swing to the inside a little bit, he can. And he's a guy that has always been good, not great. So now when you zoom back out and you're looking at the entirety of this edge rushing core, all of a sudden you have to say to yourself, like, oh, this isn't a bad idea, right? So let's look at this. Let's look at this group of people. You've got Joey Bosa's gone. That's fine. Tuli Tuipulotu is the future at the edge position. So what you had last year was you had 3 older players and a young player. So you had, or 2 older players, 1 aging player and a young player. So those older players were Khalil Mack and Bud Dupree. Khalil Mack still played at an extremely high level. Bud Dupree, kind of did Bud Dupree things. Then you had the aging player, oft injured, Joey Bosa. He's gone. So you get rid of him, and then you draft Kyle Kennard. All right? Great move. And then you had the young player, Tuli Tuipulotu. So now what you see is if Khalil Mack kind of falls off this year, or you keep riding that until you can't ride it anymore, but you have Tui waiting in the wings to replace Khalil Mack. Now you have Kyle Kennard waiting or he replaced Joey Bosa. You have Kyle Kennard waiting in the wings to replace Khalil Mack. Now you have Bud Dupree who's aging, so you keep this. Do you see what's happening? You're keeping this continual cycle of players at the edge where you're like, you understand the importance of pass rush, but you're also not going to overextend yourself and spend a ton of money where you can't spend it. So his contract is interesting because he's going to go back and he's going to make $6 million this year, and then his cap number this year is only 3.625. All right, and then next year you imagine it's going to be similar. It's not going to be fully guaranteed. They're not going to do that. So if they have to cut him, they can. But here's something that I wanted to show you that I found to be very, very interesting. This is the cap space for all teams right now. The Patriots, 49ers, and Lions have the most. All right? The Chargers are down here with $26 million. Remember, you get to take this money and it feeds over into next year. But I want to talk about next year because you're like, oh, well, we're paying an aging player $6 million. What does that look like? In 2026, nobody is projected to have more cap space than the Chargers. And then you could say to yourself, well, maybe they don't have a lot of players under contract, but they do. Look, it's 52. They have a full roster all under contract. Look at that. It's unbelievable. So their estimated salary cap is already a ton. The salary cap's going to go up, and you just have to say, all right, and then it's still big again in 2 years. And they're doing all of this while paying Herbert. They're doing it all while paying Herbert. Like, that is impressive. All right, when you look at Herbert's contract, his cap number goes up throughout the years, but this year it's $37 million. Next year, it's $46 million, and the year after that, it's $58 million. So you have the most and then like the fourth or fifth most available free agent spending while having a quarterback making a ton of money. You're going to be in a very good salary cap situation going forward with this team when you have a quarterback and then you're getting good, the young players. Eventually you'll have to pay them, but not yet. Not yet. So through the draft, I didn't finish my sentence. All right. So there you go. Pretty impressive. And as I would expect, the Chargers are continuing to do Chargers things under Jim Harbaugh. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button. Why not? See you on the next one.